Good morning, good afternoon, or whichever part of the world you're in. I'm here with Ilia Kolochenko, and I hope I pronounced your name right. Is that correct, Ilia? I've
Yeah, it is correct.
Fantastic. So Ilia is the chief architect at ImmuniWeb, and we're delighted to have Ilia with us. We're going to ask him a bunch of questions, and Ilia, over to you. If you can, could you introduce yourself and give us just a bit of background about yourself, and also a little bit behind ImmuniWeb and what you do there?
I'm happy to do so, Henry. So thank you for having me here today. So my name is Ilia. I'm a chief architect and founder at ImmuniWeb. We're a global application security company serving customers in over 50 countries today. ImmuniWeb provides application security testing, application security defense, remediation, compliance, so everything that is related to web and mobile application security. Our community editions that some of you probably are using or have been using have over 100,000 daily tests today, providing everyone with a free access to foundational application security services. And ImmuniWeb is also a recipient of numerous awards for practical usage of machine learning and AI.
Fantastic, cool. Which verticals is the platform most used by? I mean, do you have one vertical that uses it more than others? Maybe finance, maybe what's the sort of spread?
We may probably consider, highlighting ImmuniWeb Discovery as our flagship offering. So this is our attack surface management and dark web monitoring solution. I'd probably say it is particularly attractive by its simplicity and agility. So you just enter your company name. Mm-hmm. You don't need to provide any IP ranges, subnets whatsoever, just your company name. And in a couple of days, you'll get an interactive dashboard with your external attack surface, including your websites, API, VPNs, IoT devices accessible from the internet, cloud storage. Mm-hmm. And on top of this, you will have your exposure on the dark web. We cover not just, the traditional locations like underground marketplaces, hacking forums, but we also check all possible bad things that could have happened in the past, like unintentional exposure of source code on GitHub, or ongoing phishing campaigns, fake accounts on social networks. So you have a helicopter view of your external attack surface, enhanced with a surrounding threat landscape that enables you and your business to perform risk-based, threat-aware application security testing and defense programs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. What do you see are the top technical risks in application security today? What are the biggest risks that you see today?
I would probably say that I don't see substantially new things since many years. Mm-hmm. I mean, I started my career as a penetration tester when I was about 17 years old, a long time ago. Mm-hmm. At this beautiful epoch, it was rather called ethical hacking, but the substance was fairly the same. And, we're still talking about SQL injections. Yes, we do have some creative vectors of exploitation. We have some, new techniques, to bypass web application firewalls. We introduced several, I would say, new attacks like server-side request forger, for example, a relatively new concept that was not yet, I would say, broadly known, at least under its current name, a decade ago. But I cannot say that we have any revolution in terms of new technical risks. We are still talking about, insecure web applications that blindly trust user-provided input. Okay, mm-hmm. And probably most importantly, I think that biggest challenge, the biggest threat that we observe, globally and virtually, impacting organizations of all sizes. This is lack of visibility, because mm-hmm. organizations have gradually more applications, APIs, internal, external, third-party hosts, that they make integrations with different SaaS, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. So they have, I would say, unprecedentedly complicated, sophisticated, convoluted ecosystem. And frequently they have no visibility of some outdated and vulnerable systems, some test systems, forgotten in production. And obviously we cannot protect what we cannot see. I think we all agree on this. And the biggest challenge, I would say, is that compared, let's say, to a decade ago in the past, is that cyber criminals, they don't even need to leverage expensive 0 days to penetrate organizations. They will simply look for external attack surface. They will almost certainly find unpatched, vulnerable, outdated system. They will likely easily compromise it. Okay, and then they'll start exploring their opportunities to infiltrate into your network, to perform chain attacks, to use some smart social engineering, because we still have some organizations that say, well, this is just a website, it doesn't host any data, we don't care if it's hacked every day, why should we consider investing any money. What we see is that smart cyber criminals, they will easily take control of this underprotected website that may be whitelisted on internal incident detection systems, on various security monitoring systems, that most importantly victims' employees trust, because this is like their website, their domain, their application. And they'll put, a simple phishing forms there, like, change your passwords, that doesn't even require any technical skills, They may, place a sophisticated malware on the page and try to infect privileged users, compromise their machines, and frequently then you have almost unlimited access to internal networks. In our experience, most of the organizations still fail to properly segregate internal networks. And once you get inside of an organization, you have virtually unlimited access to all internal systems. So I would say this lack of visibility and overall carelessness, if we may call it like this, is probably the biggest challenge, because we can build secure applications, and we have a lot of great solutions on the market, to protect, to test, to defend your web ecosystem. But when you can't see some of your systems, or when you underestimate the risks, no technology will provide a protection, will be no solution. And I think that we're still talking not about technical challenges, but rather managerial, organizational challenges. So I believe also that in light of the problems we're discussing now, I also believe that we don't really have cybersecurity skills shortage. At least it's not that bad as some media says, that we have global shortage of cybersecurity talents. We have a lot of talented people in many countries. The challenge is that they are overburdened with many routine, trivial tasks. There are very few organizations who have consistent, systematic processes to ensure that everyone understands what he or she is supposed to do, when, how to escalate, how to communicate, how to remediate. The pandemic and working from home have considerably exacerbated the chaos we have. So I don't think that it's a question of shortage of skills and hands and heads, but it's rather overall poor organization of these talents. So when we have 25 professionals who are taking care of everything, including IT support and repairing, remote users working from home, trying to find out why their wireless printer doesn't work, of course we'll have shortage of skills. And we'll probably hire even more and more and more, but the problem will merely grow. So I think it's all about the root cause is about proper organization, processes, and procedures. And then we don't even need to spend as much as we spend today on cyber. And with a fairly modest budget, we can build a resilient, robust, risk-based threat-aware cybersecurity program.
Interesting. There's a whole bunch of content there. Very knowledgeable. What about where do you see the emerging trends at the moment with hacking and cyber criminals? You kind of mentioned a couple of trends in the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes. I guess my question is, for example, let's take ransomware, something like that. I mean, what other trends do you see and do you predict in 2021?
Ransomware is an interesting point because we see that ransomware is becoming more sophisticated compared to what we observed at the beginning of the ransomware era, probably in 2015, I would say.
Yep.
So what we observe now is that ransomware hacking groups, they try to identify the backups, cloud or internal or third-party managed, and they will either remove them, delete them, or also encrypt the backup. Frequently, they will just find and delete all your backups, so you will have no viable avenue but to pay them what they ask. And this is what makes ransomware particularly dangerous. Another thing that what we observe, and it's de facto standard these days, that cyber criminals, they also steal the data compared to their previous tactics. So now if you refuse to pay, you will not just get your data back, but you will also see your data exposed somewhere. And for specific industries like healthcare, having their patients' data exposed online somewhere is a big deal. So cyber criminals make sure that their victims will pay. Okay, and I would say ransomware is becoming more sophisticated, or more organized, and it's becoming a big challenge. Especially we observe that with ransomware as a service, where anyone, regardless his or her technical skills, for example, may join and get a commission for compromised systems if the system owner eventually pays a ransom. We even observe campaigns targeting pupils from primarily schools, saying, here's a piece of software, you put it on a USB stick, you insert it into all possible machines you have in class, in school, and then if we get money from your school, you will get a commission paid to you. So now ransomware is becoming extremely scalable, the sophistication and growth has been amplified during the last 12 months. And I think ransomware will become a big challenge because it's also interrelated with other trends. For example, when we're talking about adversarial usage of AI and machine learning, I don't think that AI or machine learning brought any substantially new technologies or hacking technique for cyber criminals. However, they bolstered their existing capacities, so they make cyber attacks faster. For example, they are using machine learning to smartly bypass different intrusion detection systems. They also use machine learning to better profile their victims. They also use machine learning to make their phishing more, I'd say, adjusted for the targeted organization. And for example, what we see now is that now cybercrime industry becomes very well organized compared to cybersecurity industry, where we have a lot of startups, a lot of well-established players, and we have a lot of different niches. Cybercrime is becoming a very stable industry with clear hierarchy. And for example, you have division of labor, and we have some cyber gangs that sell information about victims who will likely pay ransom for reputational issues, legal issues, many different other aspects. So cyber criminals now can afford hiring third-party experts like psychologists, financial experts. So they profile, their victims, and they sell to other gangs who will then, send the ransomware. So they will sell you a list of potential victims who have very high chances to pay without asking questions, without filing complaints to law enforcement. So we see, growing organization. I'd probably say, very well developed, mature organization, division of labor, something that cybersecurity industry is still missing in many different, niches. We still have a lot of evolving, growing sectors. We certainly see progress, but cyber criminals are smart, and probably this can be explained that they don't have venture capitalists behind them. As they cannot afford to make mistakes and saying, okay, every single mistake makes us stronger, because we'll fundraise and fundraise and fundraise. So they really have to be profitable starting from day zero. And I think this is what makes cyber criminals a formidable enemy for cybersecurity professionals who experience, significant overload of new tasks, especially during the pandemic, who face burnout because they are required to do everything, not just cybersecurity, but as I mentioned before, the IT support, IT helpline, many other things. So we have, exhausted cybersecurity professionals who are tired, who are frequently understaffed, who are frequently underpaid, and we have, major and efficiently, organized, structured cybercrime industry.
Cool. What about tell me something about the actual ImmuniWeb, the actual product. Do you kind of scan for ports and things like that, and then check what's on the network? That's kind of like the first question, and then the second question is, do you kind of get this data about vulnerabilities from kind of like sources like OWASP or sources like that, where you know what the vulnerabilities are and you kind of match them? Is that how the tool works? Is that how the platform works? Or the
Well,
service?
I'd say we may say yes, but some clarifications, from my side. For example, when we talk about ImmuniWeb discovery, yes, you have full visibility of your network, of the open ports, of running services. Importantly, ImmuniWeb discovery is non-intrusive and production safe. So you may also use it for third-party risk management. So when you entrust your data to different vendors and suppliers, you may safely run ImmuniWeb discovery on them. You formally don't need to ask any permission because all the information is in public access, and also it's safe, non-intrusive test, but it will probably highlight what are the potential weaknesses that your vendors may have, and you will be able to support them in enhancing, their resilience, thereby protecting your data you entrust them. Okay. Talking about application security testing, I would say it's not really about, sources, because I'd say, of course, WASP is an important body of, structuring different processes and tasks. For example, we follow different WASP testing guides, like WASP web security testing guide or WASP mobile security testing guide. I think this is one of the most comprehensive and detailed frameworks that explains how to test application security in an inclusive, holistic manner, considering not just vulnerabilities, but also best practices, compliance issues, and other things. So we definitely rely on some of the knowledge that is produced by OWASP, but otherwise I'd probably say known vulnerability, I mean publicly disclosed vulnerability in products like, I don't know, SharePoint or Joomla or WordPress, probably constitutes merely 5-10% of our discoveries, because most of our clients, they want to test in-house or customized applications, where you really need to make, I would say, very smart testing to discover all the vulnerabilities. This is actually why we combine machine learning with human intelligence, because when we do fully automated testing, you will inevitably miss some of the vulnerabilities related to business logic or some things that you didn't have sufficiently, sufficiently big data to train your machine learning model, so you will certainly miss something. Contrary-wise, when you perform human testing, it's slow and expensive. So we combine the best of the two worlds. So the idea behind the ImmuniWeb is that we will intelligently automate everything that is automatable. Okay, everything that truly deserves human ingenuity, human creativity is escalated to our penetration testers, to our security analysts, and will be manually tested and discovered. This is actually how we deliver best value for money by combining technology and human intelligence when it is really required.
So, for example, does the AI every year AI gets better and better, right? So does the AI and what you're doing, do you get better and better at discovering false positives, at removing false positives? Because it gets better and better and better. Is that how it works? Is it as simple as that?
It's a good question. I'd say generally yes. How and I'd say the underlying science, behind machine learning and AI is continuously improving. Okay, but particular machine learning models may become better, may become worse. This is I'd say the interesting interplay that we have, and probably the best advice is when you don't need AI, don't use AI because it is frequently unreliable and can bring a lot of surprises. If you have bad data or you have any important changes in terms of technology, your machine learning can become obsolete fairly quickly. And, it can solve great challenges that I'd say traditional software cannot. But at ImmuniWeb, what we do, we also have our proprietary software, just traditional software stack, okay, that does not use, any machine learning or AI. And for detection of simple or trivial issues, vulnerabilities, it's just perfect. Then when we have complexity, machine learning is addressing these more complicated I would say tasks. However, it is continuously being supervised by a human being, and when we see that something goes wrong, we immediately synchronize with our data scientists, checking the data, checking the behavior, trying to find out why our technology marked the specific issue as a vulnerability, or country-wise didn't detect a fairly obvious thing. So we have human intelligence that is supervising machine learning, and on the other side, machine learning is also supporting human intelligence, because I know very well that when it's your third week, you are sitting with a web application and it's your last day, Friday evening, you certainly have a temptation to say, okay, I will not audit this remaining part of e-banking. I think we have discovered everything. And in my experience, I don't think that any vulnerabilities exist. So we'll keep this part untested. This is something that all human beings are prone to, human weaknesses. But in case with ImmuniWeb, such situation is, I would say, virtually impossible, because we have machine learning technology that is monitoring our human testing, and when the task is escalated to a human, we will check how much time he or she spends, and if it's significantly lower than comparable tasks in the past, we will bring a hint saying that probably you under tested something, probably you forgot to test something. So it's a very peculiar alliance of human intelligence and machine learning. So one is supporting another, and this is how we try to provide best value to our customers.
Yeah. So I've got two more questions. The first one is about that human element that you just said now. Okay. Do you find a challenge to be able to work with kind of persuading your clients that there's really a danger? Because because some people, like you kind of mentioned, we're human being. Friday afternoon we might get distracted, we just want to go home. I guess my question is, do you find it a challenge sometimes to be able to kind of have that relationship where you can absolutely say, listen, there's a problem, you must fix it today, not tomorrow, today?
Just to make sure that I understood your question, Henry, is it about, when we talk about, potential risks that we detect and we need to bring to the attention of our customers, that it's something that truly deserves their attention right now, right here, or
Yeah,
it was about a different story?
yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Yeah.
Well, I would say it really depends on the organization you are dealing with, okay? But I would say it's not really our role to convince people to take any actions, because we recognize and we respect that all organizations have different priorities, different risk appetite,
Sure.
different internal processes. Sometimes, you may have plenty of good reasons not to fix a critical vulnerability during several days, or sometimes even during several weeks. You may have good reasons. I'm not saying it's the best practice, and I definitely do not recommend, keeping critical findings unfixed. But you may have different situations. So what we do, we try to bring, and I think it's our, I'd say, ethical and professional duty, is to provide full, concise, easily consumable information, explaining the findings, explaining technical details and practical pragmatic risks. Okay. And then it's up to our client to make well-informed decisions, because we believe that our duty is to provide our customers with a way to make well-informed decisions, but we don't want to intervene into their practice. We don't want to tell them how to do their jobs, because we believe that they have more experience, within their specific business environment, how to address the findings that we detected in ImmuniWeb.
Okay, fantastic. In fact, I do have two more questions. I just thought of one more, which is going to be quite a short one.
Sure.
The second last question is, can you share like a fun story? Is there anything that you've discovered, obviously without mentioning any clients, is there any kind of like interesting fun story that, for example, did you discover that someone's system had been hacked for like 2 years and they didn't know about it? Or somebody, is there any kind of little kind of war story that you'd like to share?
Well, we certainly discover compromised systems. I don't think that it's funny, neither for us nor for clients. I would say, talking about some amusing things, probably recently we've been testing a client who had a machine learning based technology for their web application firewall.
Yep.
And each time you've been trying to inject some malicious payload, you've got a message on top of their web page that was injected by the web application firewall, saying that we detected a malicious payload, your attack was blocked and you will be reported, and so on and so on. So some scary message for hackers. Then we found out that this injected message by the web application firewall, given that it was using HTTP parameter name with a malicious payload, it was itself vulnerable to cross-site scripting. So web application firewall was creating an additional vulnerability. It was eventually bypassed by our team, and I'm using things that it was itself a risk factor. It's not, of course, to criticize the technology, and I think all technologies, can be say improved, including ImmuniWeb. So we're continuously improving everything we have. No one is perfect, but talking about something that is not really, I would say, dangerous for a customer, but something that we made some fun of, and we communicated it to the client and to the a company who was developing their web application firewalls. They were grateful, they were happy. So we managed to improve our client security and their product security as well.
Good, fantastic, good one. Okay, my final question is, what's the future of ImmuniWeb? Can you share something with us for your vision?
Certainly. So I think future for ImmuniWeb is growing globally. We see
Okay.
a lot of potential in all countries. Our targeted clientele comes from highly regulated industries like healthcare, banking, financial institutions,
Yep.
e-commerce. We believe that our current presence in 50 countries make our company stronger and resilient and really, I would say, sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a platform that enables our customer to purchase, configure, start, and easily consume any service we have online,
Mm-hmm.
24/7, 365 days a year. So we proudly call our platform COVID-19 resilient. And we truly enjoy seeing that. For example, when we have Christmas time in Europe, we have online purchases coming from Japan. Okay, and we really enjoy our global presence, and I think we'll be incrementally, uh, how can I say, targeting new countries, because we believe that now application security and cybersecurity become an important priority, not only in the European Union and in the United States, but all over the world. So we truly enjoy our international community of clients and partners. We appreciate this diversity, this scale. So the ambition is to become the global application security company.
Fantastic. That was a very good summary and a vision. And we wish you all the best with it. I'm sure you'll reach all those goals, and it's going to be a good year, right?
Thank you very much, Henry. Thank you for
Well,
your invitation.
definitely take care, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.